Imagine, for a moment, that the light in your room is fading. The sounds of the modern world, the hum of electricity, the occasional passing car, begin to feel distant. Instead, let yourself drift to a different time, a different place. A world built of stone, dust, and the quiet rhythm of lives bound to service. Tonight, we are stepping into ancient Rome. Not the Rome of emperors on marble thrones, or generals leading triumphal parades, but the Rome that lived in the shadows of those marble halls. A world that rarely left its mark in monuments or in proud speeches. The world of the enslaved. The Roman Empire was vast, stretching from the misty hills of Britain to the sun-baked deserts of Egypt. Its grandeur was built on roads, aqueducts, armies, and the tireless labor of millions of enslaved people. For them, each day was shaped not by personal ambition, but by duty, by the will of their owners. In this journey, we will spend 24 hours as one of them. Not to glorify, not to dramatize, but to understand, slowly and quietly, what life might have felt like within those stone walls, beneath the weight of that existence. You may picture yourself in their sandals, though they may be worn, thin, or absent entirely. Breathe in, relax, and allow yourself to be carried there. The air is warm. The faint scent of olive oil mingles with that of damp stone. Somewhere in the distance, a cartwheel clatters against the cobblestones. And in the stillness of night, you know that your day will begin long before the sun does. The night is short in the city of Rome. You sleep, if it can be called that, on a simple mat of straw, in a corner of a cramped storeroom. The air is cool, but carries the smell of the day before. The lingering aroma of bread baked in the onerous kitchen, and a faint tank of wine spilled during last night's meal. There is no pillow, only the crook of your arm. You awaken before the sky lightens. There's no voice to call you. You have learned the rhythm well enough. The household stirs early, and if you are not already on your feet, trouble follows. Your first task is to fetch water. The cistern is cool to the touch, the rope damp with dew. The bucket is heavy, its handle pressing into your fingers as you carry it across the stone floor. The household is large, not in the sense of family alone, but in the number of lives it contains. Some slaves, like you, tend to the daily tasks. Others work in the kitchen, grinding grain with steady circular motions, the sound low and rhythmic. A few serve as personal attendants, hovering near the master or mistress. The hierarchy exists even here. Those trusted with finer duties may wear slightly better tunics, their cloth less frayed. As the sun begins to rise, a pale light filters through the small courtyard. The sky above is a gentle blue, but you barely notice. Your hands are busy with the morning chores. You sweep the mosaic floor. Careful, always careful not to chip a tile. The broom is made from bundled twigs, and the bristles whisper softly against the stone. Breakfast is not yours to eat first. You prepare bread, olives, perhaps a bit of cheese for the family, arranging them neatly on low wooden tables. The scent of fresh bread mingles with the sharper, earthy smell of olives stored in brine. You stand silently in the background as they eat, ready to refill a cup or fetch more food from the kitchen. When the family has eaten, the leftovers may be yours. A crust of bread, perhaps softened in watered wine. The bread is coarse, flecked with bits of grain. You chew slowly, more for the energy it will give you than for the taste. By mid-morning, your tasks shift. You might be sent to the market, carrying a woven basket along the narrow streets. The noise is a distant hum at first, then grows louder. The calls of merchants, the bleating of goats, the rattle of cartwheels. The air smells of figs and fish, of dust and hot stone. You keep your eyes lowered. Speak too much, to appear too bold, might be taken as insolence. Other slaves carry amphorae of wine, sacks of grain, or bolts of cloth. Some have come from estates outside the city, bringing produce to sell. You notice their sun-darkened skin, their slow but steady pace. The work is constant, the day unbroken by rest. When you return, the household is already preparing for the midday meal. The kitchen is warm, hearth fire crackling. The cook stirs a pot of lentils, their earthy aroma filling the air. Steam curls upward, catching the light from the small window. You bring water for washing hands, holding the basins steady as each member of the family dips their fingers. The first half of your day has passed without pause. A seamless flow of motion, task to task, each one blending into the next. There is no clock to watch, only the sun's steady climb and the familiar pattern of duties. You know that the afternoon will bring more of the same, and perhaps harder labor still. And yet in these hours there is a strange rhythm, the scrape of a broom on stone, the soft splash of water poured from a jug, the murmured instructions from a fellow servant. In these small, repeated sounds, the day moves forward, slowly, inevitably. The afternoon sun is warm on the walls of Rome, and in another time, another place within this same empire. A young boy named Epictetus takes his first steps into the world of servitude. He is not born into the grand houses of senators or merchants. Instead, his earliest memories are shaped by the knowledge that he is property, the possession of another. His birthplace is uncertain. Some say it was in the rugged lands of Phrygia, far from the heart of Rome, where the hills roll out beneath an open sky. Others believe it may have been in the city itself, in one of the many districts where the enslaved lived in close, narrow quarters. As a boy, he is brought to Rome and placed in the household of Epaphroditus, a wealthy and influential freedman who had once been a secretary to the emperor. The world around him is polished marble and careful ceremony, yet for Epictetus, it is a world navigated quietly, always within the boundaries set by another's will. His name, Epictetus, means simply acquired. It is not a name of family or honor, but of transaction, a reminder each time it is spoken that he belongs to someone else. What is unusual, however, is the path his life will take within that household. Epaphroditus, for reasons not fully known, allows him to study under a Stoic philosopher named Musonius Rufus. The lessons are slow and deliberate, the kind meant to be absorbed over years. He learns not only to read and write in Greek and Latin, but also to think in ways that reach beyond the confines of his servitude. Imagine him there, seated on a low bench, a wax tablet resting on his lap. The stylus moves slowly as he copies the words of the master, the faint scratch against the surface blending with the muted sounds of the household, the soft closing of a door, the distant clink of metal from the kitchen. The Stoic philosophy he absorbs is one of endurance, of distinguishing between what can be controlled and what cannot. In the stillness of those lessons, he begins to understand a truth that will shape his life, that the body may be bound, but the mind remains its own. Epictetus remains enslaved into adulthood. The years are not free from hardship. At some point, perhaps from injury, perhaps from birth, he suffers a disability in his leg. The details are unclear, but ancient accounts suggest that he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. This too, he meets with the calm acceptance that his philosophy encourages. Eventually, freedom comes. It is not the sudden granting of a miracle, but a quiet legal process, the kind that might pass unnoticed in the great bustle of Rome. Once freed, he leaves behind the household of Epaphroditus and begins to teach. His own students will later remember him not for grand gestures or stirring speeches, but for the way he could speak of life's burdens with a quiet, steady clarity. He would remind them, as he once reminded himself, that a person's true possessions are not wealth or rank, or even the body itself, but the choices they make within the limits of their circumstances. In the fading years of his life, Epictetus leaves Rome and settles in Nicopolis, in Greece. There, the air smells faintly of the sea, and the days pass with a slower rhythm than the capital's restless streets. His teachings are gathered by his pupil, Arian, who records them not as complex arguments but as simple, practical reflections. Centuries later, those words remain. They speak not of rebellion, nor of the crushing weight of servitude in vivid detail, but of the inner life that can survive even in the narrowest confines. And so the boy named Acquired leaves behind something that cannot be owned, the enduring echo of thought. For most Roman slaves, no scroll preserved their name, no historian noted their deeds. Their voices are absent from the polished histories written for senators and emperors, and yet pieces of their lives remain, small, enduring clues in the dust of time. In the quiet halls of certain museums, far from the noise of the modern city, you might see them. A fragment of pottery, its surface scratched with hurried letters, perhaps a message, perhaps just the mark of a name, carved in a rare moment of spare time. The glaze is dulled now, but if you run your eyes along it, you might almost imagine the hand that held the stylus. Archaeologists working in the ruins of Pompeii and Herculaneum have uncovered entire kitchens where slaves labored. In one small room, barely the size of a modern closet, a simple bed frame rests against the wall. Its wooden slats have long since rotted away, leaving only the impression in the ash. A single clay oil lamp sat nearby, its wick burned down to nothing in the eruption that froze the city in time. The air there is still and cool, carrying the faint scent of ancient dust. These cramped quarters, often built beneath staircases or tucked into corners, speak without words. They tell of lives lived in the background, close enough to serve the household, but always separate. The rooms had no decoration, no windows to the outside. The only light was what seeped in through a half-open door. In some rural estates, Villa Rustique digs have revealed long, low buildings with plain stone walls. These were the barracks for agricultural slaves, who worked the fields from dawn to dusk. Iron tools have been found nearby. Mattocks, pruning knives, sickles. Their blades are weathered now, but still hold the shape of years of use. The wooden handles are gone, yet the grooves where they once fit remain. More mysterious still are the lead tags, no larger than a coin, found in scattered sites across the empire. Stamped with Latin inscriptions, they sometimes bore the name of a master, the place of work, or a warning. Tenitor, detained. Scholars believe they may have been worn around the necks of runaway slaves who were recaptured, a grim reminder of ownership. Their surfaces are worn smooth by time, but the words are still legible, quiet witnesses to a harsher reality. From the great baths of Rome to the amphitheaters, faint traces of enslaved labor appear everywhere, marks scratched into stone blocks, identifying the work crew. A stylus dropped in a drain, a bronze key that no longer turns any lock. These objects are small and ordinary, yet they carry the weight of untold lives. Even in art, their presence lingers at the edges. Mosaics sometimes depict household scenes. A servant carrying a tray, a cook stirring a pot, a farmhand driving a plow. They are not the focus of the image, but part of the pattern woven into the background. The tiles are carefully set, the colors muted with age. Standing before them now, you can almost feel the quiet repetition of their days. There is a mystery in how much is absent. We cannot hear their voices, but we can see the spaces they inhabited, the tools they held, the traces left in the very layout of ancient buildings. In the way a staircase curls above a cramped sleeping room, in the groove worn smooth in a threshold by countless passing feet, the archaeological record does not bring these individuals fully back to life. Instead, it offers a faint, ghost-like outline, enough to imagine gently what their world might have been. And in that imagining, the stones and fragments begin to speak. It's not loudly, but in the soft, steady tone of history that refuses to vanish entirely. As the day drifts on in the household, your work carries you through the very spaces that define the difference between your world and that of those you serve. The marble floors are cool under bare feet. Above you, the ceiling rises high, painted with gentle colors, soft blues and faded golds. Scenes from mythology that seem to float in the still air. In the atrium, sunlight filters through the open roof, falling in a perfect square onto the pool of collected rainwater below. The surface ripples faintly when a breeze moves through. Here, the family might pause to greet visitors or to give instructions for the day's affairs. You are present but invisible, moving quietly along the edges. The midday meal for the elite is unhurried. Reclining on couches, they talk in low voices, dipping bread into bowls of seasoned oil, sipping wine cooled in snow brought from the mountains. Silver dishes catch the light. The scent of roasted meat drifts through the air, mingling with the sharper fragrance of fresh herbs. For them, this is not a feast, only an ordinary meal. The abundance is part of the rhythm of their lives. In the storeroom, amphorae stand in neat rows. Wine from the southern provinces, garum sauce from the coast, grain from North Africa. Each item has arrived through the quiet labor of countless hands, farmers, sailors, porters, and slaves, none of whom will taste the meal it helps create. Beyond the dining room, the private baths are being prepared. Heated water fills the marble basins, steam curling upward into the dim air. Slaves tend the fires in the hypocaust below, feeding them with split logs until the stone floors grow warm. The elite descend the steps, feeling the warmth rise through the soles of their sandals. their conversations softened by the sound of moving water. In the gardens, clipped hedges and shaded colonnades offer a place for leisurely walks. Statues stand at intervals, their marble faces serene. The scent here is different. Cypress and laurel, the faint sweetness of flowers chosen for their beauty, not for any use. A musician might be playing a soft melody in the background, his fingers moving gently over the strings of a lyre. From this world of calm abundance, the other life, the life of labor, is close, yet distant. The kitchen is warm with heat from the ovens. In the laundry area, garments are scrubbed in basins of water mixed with ash. In the stables, the sound of hooves shifts the air with a dusty scent. These spaces are necessary but hidden, their work essential but uncelebrated. The contrast is not marked by noise or sharp division, but by the quiet certainty that the two worlds run side by side, rarely meeting except in service. The elite dine, bathe, and stroll through their days, while the enslaved move like the hidden machinery of a great clock, unseen but constant. As evening falls, the family might gather in the triclinium once more for the main meal. Oil lamps are lit, their flames steady in the still air, shadows stretched gently across the walls. Servants bring in platters of fish, trays of fruit, bowls of lentils, and honeyed pastries. Laughter rises softly, the kind that drifts upward and fades into the high painted ceilings. When the last cup is emptied and the final dish cleared, the elite withdraw to their chambers, their day coming to a slow, comfortable close. For the slaves, however, the work continues. Cleaning, tidying, setting things in order for the morning. And when at last they return to their own small spaces, it is with the knowledge that tomorrow will follow the same pattern. Two lives lived under the same roof, yet worlds apart. One defined by choice, the other by necessity. One steeped in luxury, the other in the quiet, endless rhythm of service. Night settles over the city. The last traces of sunlight have long slipped behind the rooftops, leaving the narrow streets in shadow. Somewhere beyond the walls, a dog barks once, then falls silent. The air is cooler now, carrying with it the faint scent of smoke from evening hearth fires. In the household, the lamps burn low. The family sleeps in quiet chambers behind heavy curtains and under soft woven blankets. The marble floors hold the day's warmth, and the silence inside feels almost complete. In your small corner, you lie back on the straw mat. The day has been long, but its tasks have a familiar pattern. One that will repeat itself again tomorrow, and the day after that. The faint ache in your hands and shoulders is the kind that comes not from sudden effort, but from the slow, steady work of many hours. You hear the muted drip of water from the courtyard fountain. The sound is rhythmic, unhurried, a constant companion in the stillness. Somewhere in the distance, a cartwheel rolls over cobblestone, the sound growing fainter until it disappears entirely. If you think back to the hours that have passed, you can trace them like stepping stones. The dark quiet of early morning, the sweep of the broom across mosaic tiles, the low murmur of the marketplace, the careful preparation of meals. You can remember the faces of those who dined in comfort and the hands, your own and others, that made it possible. And as you lie there, it is hard not to notice the contrast. The soft ease of the elite world and the quiet endurance of the enslaved. They are parts of the same whole, each depending on the other, yet separated by an unspoken line. Still, within this life, there are moments of stillness. The cool touch of water at dawn, the warmth of bread in your hands, the muted glow of lamplight on stone. Small, fleeting details that belong entirely to you in that moment. The past, like the day, is never truly silent. Even now, centuries later, the faint echoes of these lives remain, in the worn steps of ancient villas, in the scratches left on pottery, in the quiet lines of philosophy that emerged from unexpected places. As you let the last images of the day drift away, the boundaries between then and now begin to blur. The night deepens. The sounds fade, and you are left with the steady, calming truth that the world you return to, with its softness, its freedoms, its warmth, stands in deep contrast to the one we have walked through tonight. Breathe deeply. Let your shoulders relax. The journey is done. The streets of Rome are quiet now, and sleep comes gently. like the slow dimming of a lamp in the stillness of ancient stone walls.